Hi, I'm Senator Benji Brimley, and we are here at Barbershop, episode number 26 at the House of Experts, 728 Broadway, the city of Patterson. We have the owner who's been here for 21 years, Jonathan Vicicio. Is John back here? John, come up. I'm going to get you early. John is the man here. John is also the volleyball coordinator and coach for Patterson Recreation Volleyball, which is completely full. They had their first tournament in February. And in February, John, just tell us real quick about that tournament this past February.
It was amazing. The girls did great. Both teams got silver, second place in silver. They did great. The first team, our youngest team, the 13-year-olds, only been playing 5 months. And the team that they played, been playing for like 4 years. So all the teams they played actually been playing for a good 3-4 years. And for them to get second in the silver was amazing.
It was amazing. Full house. People from out of town talking about, they didn't know how nice it was. So it was at the Roberto Clemente, school number 24, the new addition of the gym, which is absolutely beautiful. And the kids were great. Tell us about your coaches real quick. The young lady who's a doctor now.
Oh, she just passed her board exam.
Yes.
She's officially a doctor.
Give us her name. We got to give her a shout out.
Jada Batista.
Jada Batista working as a doctor. So, John, why I got John up here, so the summer camp applications are out. People have been asking. It's open. Just go online and fill it out. It's a QR code. But registration for summer camps, his camp only has a slot for 70 kids. And it's first come, first serve. Those applications will come out April the 5th. April the 5th, you could register your kid. We have over 24 camps, 14 sports camps in both pools, Costello Pool and Riverside Vet Pool over the summer. Swim lessons on the weekends at the Costello Pool, and we're working on doing swim lessons during the week at Riverside Vet. So get involved. Great job, John. 2 years. Every year this is completely full. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
John, hold real quick. You got to tell us about the empanadas. Our empanada guy. Got to give him a shout out.
It smells good.
Where they come from? Tell them about the
They're not
empanadas.
sponsoring us, so we ain't going to let that information out.
Tell me one thing. You got to give them to you for free.
They next door. Our neighbors.
That's good.
Come up with that, they smell real good. All I know is at the end of the night, them empanadas are gone. I didn't bring the whole thing. They're gone. So, got it. Yep. But listen. We're here. We're going to jump right into this. We're going to go hard for around 50 minutes, 54, 55 minutes and make this work. But today we have with us, and I don't know what your title is, but we have former Passaic County Commissioner T.J. Best, who actually works with the Charter School Association here in the state of New Jersey. Was my first campaign manager at 24 years old when I ran for city council. And we still had the most votes in the history of at-large races. No offense, Mendez.
Yeah,
but
we had the most
But
I got to
got
look
here,
at this number.
yeah, close to 9,000 votes, and they were like, he's too young. Well, too young worked for me.
Yeah.
So got to give our young folks a chance to do these things. And he was very didactic and really knew how to run a campaign. So
Thank you.
I really want to publicly thank you for being my first campaign manager.
Yeah, I'm glad I
believe
was
it or
there.
not, you know
That's
that
right.
was 16 years ago?
Wow.
16 years
I don't
ago.
want to talk about that, man.
Yeah, 16 years ago, around 20 to 16 pounds more on each of us.
And hair. Hair.
I didn't have hair. But you had hair. You got a little bit.
That was the last time I sat in the barber chair. It was about 16 years ago.
We have TJ Best, and next to him we have the councilman of the first ward, Mike Jackson.
I'm happy to be here. Finally, I get an invite, so I'm
Listen.
looking forward to the moment.
Load him up. You know what I'm saying? And next to him, we have here our councilman of the third ward, Alex Mendez Sr.
That's right. Welcome to the third ward. Very excited to be here.
And Alex was actually my first guest. Like when we first did this, we had Mendez. You remember that one, Bill McCoy and Assad Akhtar. That was the first. And that was pretty entertaining. All I'm gonna say was entertaining.
Yeah.
Alex, you kept your cool.
Absolutely.
But much shout out to you for that. And next to him is my good friend, the first Bangladesh councilman in the city of Patterson. Now he's a candidate in the state of New Jersey and a candidate for mayor, Mohammed Akhtar Uzman.
Thank you. My name is Mohammed Akhtar. I'm on 2A, and first and foremost, I want to thank the House of Experts and the Senator Benjamin Malley for hosting this event and inviting us. So thank you, sir.
You sound like a politician right there, man. That was like real scripted. That was real good, like you had cue cards or something. Yeah. But it's cool. And our special guest today, we have former Commissioner Manny Martinez, who's now with the Patterson Parking Authority, and our senior Board of Commissioner, Kenny Simmons.
Our senior.
And Kenny's started in 2010 with us. So you think about that, 16 years ago. And we have a host of ground people in the crowd. So say hi to the crowd. We appreciate you guys coming out here. But I do want to give a shout out to Corey T, Commissioner Corey T. I just found out he's in the hospital. We wish Corey a speedy recovery and make sure he gets healthy. And Kenny, just keep us posted if Corey needs anything. And Commissioner Della McCall actually had another issue that she could not make it. So she is not going to be here. So that gives you guys more time to talk. All right. And we need to jump right into this as we talk about the school board and different things like that. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the school closings. Closing 4 schools in the city of Patterson, even though you're a charter school guy and you're probably salivating and at the mouth like, I want these buildings, you know. But what do you think, you know, as a parent? You're a parent, you're a Pattersonian, you grew up in the 4th Ward. What do you think about closing schools in 2026 when the development is bustling here in the city of Patterson? Like, I'm no exaggeration. I'll go down the street and go, when did this come up? You know? And then recently I've gone to the 2nd Ward, Muhammad, and I always thought the 2nd Ward was not going to go for the development stuff. And now I'm seeing development going up in the 2nd Ward. So I know you're a charter school guy, but as a Patterson guy, what do you think about closing 4 schools?
I'm completely against it. So I'm just going to come right out. I mean, before, being a charter school guy, I'm a Patterson guy first. And as a parent, you want to make sure that your kids have the best opportunity to succeed in life. And it's not just closing 4 regular schools. We're closing the highest performing schools in the city of Patterson. So these aren't just normal schools. They're doing an amazing job with our students. And to force those students to go back to their neighborhood school where the parents have already made a conscious decision to send them, possibly across town to get a better education that best suits their needs, I think is a real mistake. I understand if there's a fiscal component that comes to it where tough decisions have to be made, but that's a conversation that needs to happen with the board, and the board's got to take a vote on it, and the community needs to hold the board accountable to it. So I'm a little disappointed to not see that vote happen. If you're going to close the school, it needs to go through the board, not top down from the administration.
And Mike, like you, our kids were classmates at Norman S. Weir. And the one thing I can say is I hear people talking about, well, the grades are not like they used to be. Well, the grades are not like they used to be anywhere after COVID. Everybody, there was a major learning loss after COVID. You think about not only that, the social impact of COVID during that time to our kids psychologically. So you think about now bringing kids, and you're a Patterson guy. You understand. Your family's from Alabama Projects. You lived on the other side of town. You understand how it is not a territorial thing. What do you think as a parent first, and as a elected official, and as a candidate for mayor, what is your position on this?
It does our community a terrible disservice. As TJ just said, taking the highest performing schools that we have in our community, and then you leave the one who happens to be the highest performing in the state, which, by the way, the mayor's kid happens to go there. It feels as if there's a targeted effort to minimize the production in the city. If you're going to take away some of the highest performing schools and then say that we're equalizing opportunities, the age-old adage don't change. One bad apple spoils the bunch. So you're going to put them into an environment where learning obviously has been a challenge, and where you have these environments that's been thriving. So I always say the controversial things. I called it out the moment that this superintendent was placed. I didn't think she was the right placement for the community. She's made several questionable decisions, in my opinion. The instance with Zatidi Moody, for example, and we lost Zat. Now he's taking his talents to a charter school that's now performing extremely well. They just won the cheerleading competition with recreation. When you have people that understand the community and you're getting rid of them, I question the motive. So as a parent, that's my thoughts. But as a mayor, for the mayor to have been silent on this thing for a long, extended period of time shows that he's comfortable where his kids are, and it's not important for our community. We have to make sure our kids have opportunities.
And even for 28, I think they're eliminating grade levels. I think the 2nd grade level. Why are you going to touch something that is working? And we'll get to the commissioners after this. And at the end of the day, my concern, like you, Mike, is like when you're from here, you understand that kids from certain sections don't need to go to other sections of town. Some of the older folks that may remember, you remember the middle school MLK. You remember MLK back in the day where you got bus tickets. You didn't get bus to go from like school 13, school 12, and MLK was where social services is. And back then, thank God there were no guns or major stuff there, but we had gang issues back then.
Yeah.
Between the Rastafarians and the Black Spades and
But
different things like
look
that.
what just
Now you're
happened
endangering
last
people.
year with the parents at on the other side within the 6th ward. The parents were totally against it, and she just ignored their concerns. So I mean, I'm very concerned about it.
Okay, well, like I said, and it's a position that the mayor did write a letter to the Commissioner of Education stating that he was against the closing of 4 schools. I haven't had a chance to read the letter yet, but I did speak to him because I'm like, we need our mayor to speak up and say, this is not right. Like, we cannot have our schools closed without, like you said, going from the top to the bottom, instead of going to the community first.
Yeah.
I know NAACP has spoke out against it. I believe the Patterson Pastors Workshop has spoke out against it. And I know our councilman in the 3rd Ward, who was also a parent of
right.
Norman S. Ware. And full disclosure, if you're paying $12,000, $15,000 in taxes, I don't want to be criticized for sending my kid to a certain school.
Absolutely.
You know, because if not, I've been on the other side. Mike, you've been on the other side. Well, we got to pay $12,000 for private school for our kids.
Correct.
So if you're paying that much, I don't want to be criticized saying, well, all of the politicians and all of the Divine Nine, Deltas and Alphas kids go there. That's no, this is our town. We have a right to send our kids where we want to send them.
Including charter.
Including charter schools.
Including charter,
And you know, I believe, like, you know, you have a choice. I'm one of them parents. My kids went to Christian school, charter school, public school, and each of my 4 kids are different. So they need a different thing. So we cannot say everybody doesn't know the learning or environment that your kid needs to be in. Young Men's Leadership Academy is important to me because I think some of our young men need to be in a single gender setting to stay focused.
Yeah. And Patterson should have created an all-girls school in addition to go with the all-boys school.
That's having sight. That's having sight.
So
But go ahead.
Sure. No, I just said I truly believe that. I'm very, as a former school board member, I'm very disappointed, and I totally disapprove this measurement. And one of the things that I truly believe that the mayor jumped against it was because he saw the pressure of the community. We play with people's life. We do play with people's life. You have so many single mom, people that have 1 and 2 jobs to be able to put food on the table and pay the high rent that we have in the city of Patterson. And we're moving those kids around. Here in the city of Patterson, you need to know the community that you're serving. Here, the big brother take care of the little brother. They go together to the school. They're not providing transportation to those students. It's a chaos. It's a chaos, and they just took the decision without the input of the community. I went to the Board of Education, was totally against from the beginning, and I truly believe that they need to go back to the table because, like I say, they play with people's lives. Parents are crying. They're totally against those kids. They're gonna go through a lot. It's gonna be mentally. It's gonna affect them mentally.
And Alex, on your end, to commend you and Mike, like your kids have been academically successful.
Yes.
So when people tell me, "Oh, it's not how it used to be," your daughter is getting ready to go to med school. Am I right?
That's right. It's absolutely my daughter.
You got honored daughters, sons have done honored work. So when people tell me, "Oh, well, the grades went down," well, don't give me that excuse.
My 3 kids went to Norman Square. You have Alexander Jr. finished his career. He's at the school board. Maya, she's graduated now on May 7th from Howard University. And my little one, he's getting ready to go to the Marine. They went to Norman Square. They're proud of Patterson Public School. So I truly believe that. I mean, we're going against public school because we know that those buildings, they're gonna be owned by charter school. You're gonna see charter school open in those buildings. I have nothing against charter school, but you cannot take funding away from public school to replace it for charter school. I'm totally against that. We gotta go back to the table, and I truly hope that the school board members revisit this case and go back to the table because I truly believe that it's not a done deal. We have to listen to the people.
And it's not over till it's over. So, Dr. Rusman, in the 2nd Ward, there were middle school model when Joe Taub came. But Joe Taub has been built as a big state-of-the-art middle school. There was no closure of any schools. Everything, you know, if you go to morning over there, it's nuts in the 2nd Ward. Everybody's walking their kids to school like old school. So the kids from school 5, school 14 was closed because it was 120 years old. So how has it worked in the 2nd Ward for the kids going, you know, K through 5 or K through 6, then going to Joe Taub?
Well, Senator, thank you. You know, I'm totally against this closing the school board because, 4 schools. I remember 2011, I started this journey as an activist. Hazel and school, Dr. Abadullah, this one, they started the foundation, then they stopped. We did so many marches to the Trenton to fight for the school. And now, years back later, because back then it was a crisis, and crisis now, because most of the classroom is already overcrowded. And I understand, unfortunately, the new school we have, but it still is the same problem. And we got to understand, the senator, that we have to, especially if a kid does miss the mark in Hillcrest, it's mattered to us. If a kid miss the mark in South Patterson, it matters to us. If a kid miss the mark in East Patterson, it matters to us because that child is belong to one of our brothers. We have to think collectively, and this is a moral obligation. And I think late Congressman John Lewis once says that if you see something that is not right, that is not fair, that is not just, then you have a moral responsibility to do something. And it is our moral responsibility that we reach out to especially the mayor was silent for a while, but now he saw the pressure and he's coming on board. He needs to call up the the governor, Mikey Sherrill, and maybe other politicians.
Well, he did write a letter to the governor.
Yeah, but
and the
it's
commissioner.
late in the game.
But it's not too late. So I'm gonna say we all have to come together on a common cause. As I see across the board, we all agree. So I'm gonna bring up Commissioner Kenny Simmons. Are there any updates on this matter? I mean, no. I mean, you're from Patterson. You've lived down the hill, up the hill, and you understand the territorial things when it comes to Patterson. So what's going on? Just give us a quick update.
So no new update. The superintendent is standing 10 toes down on making this movement. Although, they like to blame it on previous administrations, previous boards that actually go back to, I believe, when TJ's last year on the board, where we first started talking about that. And in terms of Dotab, it was because in the second ward, it was just overcrowded. School 5 was busting at the seams, so you had to do something. School 19, 14 was old, so we had to do something in that area. The same thing for the near Eastside High School on Market Street. So that's how you got Roberto Clemente. But we had 30,000 students with the projection to being in the next 5 years at that time to go to 37,000 students. We're now at 24,000 students. So we don't have the same issues.
But we're going to have those issues.
But we don't have those issues right now. But again, like what you alluded to, with all of the building, and after this federal administration leaves, right now people aren't going to school because they're afraid to go to school. So you're going to see an influx of students, and we're not going to have anywhere to send them. The biggest part to this, for me, is taking away parent choice. Right? So I've always been pro-choice, the same thing. My kids went to Catholic school. They went to they went to charters, but it's about the parents and making sure that they are part of this process. They have not been part of the process. The board has not been part of this process, and so it's disheartening to see that the superintendent, regardless to what is being said, regardless to how many people have called and sent letters, she won't respond. And so it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and you know what? We have a moral obligation to make sure our kids are safe. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed also. We know, I'm not let you get in here, but listen, we can't forget, daytime shootings of Genesis Rincon in the wrong areas. You can't forget Nazare Bug, in daytime being shot. Armani Saxton, so, and then the list goes on, that if you don't live here, you don't understand that, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, walking down the 10th Ave corridor may not be the best thing for your 8-year-old or your 9-year-old or certain things. And that's just reality of coming from here. Go ahead, Mike.
So I have a question for the commissioner. That reduction in number, this is the first question, is it due to charter schools, or are we including the charter school number in that model?
So I don't know that it's always.
And before you answer, because the next part of the question is, has the board then taken a position to fire the superintendent, who the community votes the board in? We depend on you guys to do the right thing. If she's making a decision that's impactful to us, has the board had discussions about firing her?
Kenny, let me answer the first one. You answer the second part about firing. In terms of the numbers, before the Trump administration, we saw that both the traditional public school PPS was growing and charter schools were growing. So charter schools were actually helping with the overcrowding because they both were growing at the same time. When the Trump administration came in, we noticed that Patterson Public Schools was losing more students than attending the charter school. So last year, for example, Patterson Public Schools lost 1,900 students. They dropped in enrollment. Charters only took 800. So we don't know where the other 1,100 students went.
And not only not moving,
they're just not going.
They're not going to school.
They're not going to school.
But the thing is, we got to be realistic. You have a lot of people. You have many. You got to live in Patterson. You got a lot of people moving out of town because of the condition of the city. People, they can't take it anymore.
Right. Oh,
They
we're
can't-
gonna get you the condition of the city.
and you know.
No, I got you.
No,
We're
but
gonna-
in response with the charter school, the reduction on the school, on public school, yes, it's because of charter school. Let's keep it that you have a portion of people that moving. Every parent they choose charter school first, and the portion less if the people that move out. So that's the number. We got way more people moving in Patterson, living in Patterson now with all the overdevelopment that we have in the city of Patterson. The traffic at 3 p.m. it's just
At
out of
8 a.m.
control.
and 3
At
p.m.
8 a.m.
is
at 3
crazy.
p.m. So we have. I will tell you the number. It show 160,000 based on the census.
more than
We got
160.
more than 200,000 people living in the city of Patterson.
Yeah, and Kenny, just so that with the charter schools, I know from TJ and talking to Science and Tech, they have a waiting list of 1,800 students. So they can't even take all the school kids here. And I know when this was announced mid-year, parents were panicking trying to get their kids transferred out to charter schools. So don't blame charter schools. And then you think about when we grew up, there was St. Teresa, St. Gerard, St. Here, that a handful of kids went to. And people that don't live here any longer went to those schools.
Patterson Catholic?
Yeah, Patterson Catholic, like certain days that was here. So all I can say is that I think we have to advocate for the everyday person, that mother who's working that third shift job, whose daughter has to cook food and take care of the kids. And then during COVID, we understood, and I know as a classroom teacher, I would go to do bedside instruction, 2 bedrooms and 7, 8 people living in one house. And that's where the social emotional thing I'm concerned about, that the damage that was done to these kids during COVID. How long have we gone through it? Have we addressed that properly before we're worrying about closing schools? And you think about the schools that's closing. Norman S. Ware has the only swimming pool out of all of the public schools. Am I right?
And they also,
And
and
I
they
would
also-
say
they also have a half population of
special needs,
special challenge
kids. And on top of it, most of the kids who learn how to swim, Mike, are kids and work for us who make $21 an hour. So it's a longer story. And if you're from here, you understand that. But Manny, come
So
on
we
up.
have something fire?
Give me your spill.
Had that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, Manny, let's talk about
Conversation
what's
we
your
need to
view
be
as a former school board member. Any concerns that you have as a lifelong Pattersonian?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're closing down schools, you're depriving students and families of opportunities to learn. And as you know, school board members, formerly a school board member, that's our primary focus, to provide safe places for students to learn. And I think what we're losing here is the common sense approach. All right, if you need to close buildings and because of fiscal issues and such, that makes sense. But common sense we should apply. How are you going to take the top 4 performing schools and say these are the ones that we're choosing to close? That makes no sense. You're displacing those students. Will they re-enroll in Patterson Public Schools? I don't know. Will they choose charter schools? I don't know. But far be it from me to ever tell a parent where they should send their student. They should be afforded the opportunity to make the choice that's best for them, and to take 4 of the best performing schools in this district and say those are the ones that we're choosing to close, it just doesn't make sense. So again, if there are fiscal constraints that you're dealing with, make those cuts, make those changes somewhere else. But why would you touch those schools that are performing so well? It just doesn't make sense.
And Manny, just to wrap it up, I would say, on this topic, because we got to get to some mayor stuff, is that every time you close a school door, you open up a prison door. It's that simple. We in America, we will spend $60,000 on a prisoner and only $16,000 for a student. So you think about, how does that make sense? That you're going to pay $60,000 for somebody to be incarcerated, which is a whole nother meeting that we could go through, and $16,000 for a student. This doesn't make sense.
When you push down on educating a student here, it's going to pop up somewhere else as something else.
Yes.
Exactly like you just alluded to.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Senator, why there wasn't any public hearing?
Well, the public hearing, you could talk offline to, our commissioner, and we'll go here. But we're gonna get into the mayor stuff in a minute or so. Just give me a nutshell of your candidacy, your platform to move Patterson forward.
So the reason why I'm running for mayor is
Mike, we'll start off with Mike. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was acknowledging TJ's acting skills. I might use them once or twice.
I could be a double. I could be a
As an
double.
AI double.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think one of the things that all of us will agree upon is our community is in the worst condition it's ever been in. The violence is at an all-time high. We just had, one of the longest tenured council persons lose a great-grandson, and Tahid, who lost his son. We should not have people in our community losing relatives this way. The garbage is at the worst conditions it's ever been. The rats are out of control, while we have the head of Health and Human Services saying we don't have a rat problem. But more importantly, I think that, you know, having a clear opportunity to give people opportunities in our own town. When you look around the country, you know, years ago when Obama came in, he said, listen, we're going to put people back to work. In our town, everybody else makes money, everyone else works, but our people. And now when you look at the opportunities that this administration and council who supported this administration the whole way, you know, with first-time home ownership, there hasn't been any. With the development of businesses, you see developers that are targeting specific areas and taking over our community. So, I mean, there's a lot. I'm going to keep my answer short because I want to get another bite at the apple. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what it is.
All right, Councilman.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Senator. I truly believe it's time for change. The whole city agreed that we do need a new mayor, and I truly believe that the city of Patterson didn't need a mayor like Alex Mendez. I'm the type of person that I could sit with any person in the table if it's good for the city of Patterson. I've been putting legislation on the floor, and my level of frustration is so big because the lack of enforcement in this city, it's just horrible. The lack of leadership from the mayor directly. Patterson is a dumping ground. I was a council member that introduced a legislation to increase the fine to up to $10,000 to stop the dumping in the city of Patterson. No enforcement at all. We approve cameras. Who watches the camera? The problems continue. I make recommendation to the administration to change this bulk pickup situation that is now working. You want senior and people that they're not computer savvy to download an app and to throw away furniture outside. People, the dumping increased humongously after they change it. I'm planning to change that immediately as soon as I get there. And I'm planning to invest the right resources into the public work. That way they could do the work and clean the city. Patterson is filthy. But Patterson is the third largest city in the state of New Jersey. We don't have the equipment that we need. We don't have the staff that we need. We invest in millions of dollars in overtime. We have people working around the clock and we can't get the job done. You have a street cleaning going out without inspector. We losing revenue left and right. But this mayor, he doesn't care about that. He doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have what it takes. And I truly believe that 8 years is good enough for an administration. I truly believe that the city needs somebody that will take care of the city. I introduced a legislation, it's called Patterson First, to make sure that every job, every opportunity in the city of Patterson is gotta be for Patterson residents. Senator, there's no job in the city. People are struggling in this city. And every opportunity, every good position that you have, you got people from outside getting those positions, Senator. We gotta make sure that people...
And Mendez, I'm gonna ask you to cut there so we can get everybody in.
Sure.
And I do want to come back to DPW. That's gonna be our next question. So think in your mind. Dr. Rusma?
Yes. Well, many of you know I was out of politics, but I couldn't stand on the sideline, especially with it started with the garbage collection policy. The pick and choose policy got to be stopped because people are living here and they have a right to throw their, any household items. Currently now only, if you even throw a chair, they're not going to pick it up. You have to call them and it takes like 2-3 times to get there. 2-3 appointments from the city to respond. And as you see, the property taxes year after year increasing. When I bought my property, it was like $2,500. Now I'm almost paying $11,000. This is unacceptable. Most of the homeowners are already priced out. And if you look at the left and right, and I don't want to mention all these buildings going up, these are all residential buildings. These are all tax abatement. $1.5 billion worth of investment happened in last 7 years and all under tax abatement. So they are not paying anything. The burden goes back to us, the homeowners, single family, two families. So we can't take it anymore. We got to do something. There's the public safety. When I was a councilman, I remember I approved, me along with the mayor, we approved with Councilman Morris and other council members. I believe Councilman McCoy was also a part of that. We approved Class 2 police officers. Class 2 police officer, basically, we are giving up an opportunity to the young generation and part-time basis job. Because when we hire a regular police officer, it costs us. If it's a $40,000, it turns into $80,000.
All right. Well, I'm not asking you to save some of that because public safety obviously is going to be one of the questions. Sure. So, Mike, I'm going to go right back to you real quick. What is your plan for DPW? Like, most of those guys live in our town. We know that they're underpaid. Is there a particular plan when it comes to DPW in the city of Patterson?
Absolutely. So the differences between myself and other council members, current and previous, is, it's been within the history of my track record of voting. Both of these council members have supported the administrations in some of those actions, and what I talked about with DPW is putting the mayor's office as the foundation within DPW. The center of our community has to go around DPW. The first thing that I would do is rebuild this site on 16th and enclose it and encompass what we're going to call a transfer station as well. Right now, we pay $35 million a year just for collection, and then we pay an additional $20 to $30 million to discard of it. And what we're doing is we're just transferring it to a third-party company in which other council people and mayors are taking contributions from. We need to bring that service in-house, the same way New York City does it, the same way the city of Newark does it. We're right there, adjacent to the train track. In fact, the two parts of DPW, the Salt Dome is on one side, and the DPW facilities on the other, but it's deplorable. The equipment we have is deplorable. So under my leadership, instead of spending money, $110 million and wasting on something that doesn't return residual income, we're going to invest it in DPW. We're going to buy our own garbage trucks. We will collect our own garbage. We will do our own road resurfacing. We would do all the underground sewer work, and we also would be our own transfer station.
Now, what would you do as far as salaries? Like, these guys are grossly underpaid.
So just on the math alone of what I presented to the council many years ago, if we're spending $35 million a year on garbage, or $35 million per contract cycle, right, which is, if you take it and divide it into three, it's about $12 to $13 million. You buy 10 trucks, the garbage company sends in 6. If we buy 10 trucks that cost about $350,000 a piece, 10 is $3.5 million. You're still saving just 1 year. You can pay for the trucks flat out. But we can stretch that out over a 10-year period, pay $350,000 a year, and now have $12 million a year that we can divvy up in salaries. If I paid each man $100,000 each, which by the way, the average salary in DPW is about $35,000. If I paid each person $100,000 and hired double the staff, so therefore I'm not just collecting garbage on one session. I could do it in multiple sessions, and we could do recycling, which those garbage trucks would double as snowplow equipment as well for the winter time, and our people will be making a fair and livable wage.
A livable wage, yep.
And render a better product, because if you treat people better, but we also know that there's an issue with people and taking advantage when it comes to civil service, calling out. So we'll put it on an incentive-based initiative so that, listen, you come to work 5 days a week, you're going to get a bonus each and every week.
I'll tell you this, I've been working with DPW for 27 years. You give them $100,000, they're going to come to work. They're going to
come do their job.
Yes,
they're going to be pleased.
Councilman Mendez?
Oh, I'll tell you this. Listen, that was my first topic, the salary of public work. And that's, as a mayor, I have a very specific plan, and it's going to be a multiple stage. I'm going to start with, I was the one that championed the increase of the salary of CDL. We don't have enough driver because, the CDL driver and DPW, they don't make any money. It's hard for us to compete on the private sector. And even with other municipality, they come here in Patterson, and 2 months or 3 months later, they go to another town and make more money. I'm planning to jump right in with the salary. We could reallocate funding to make sure that we pay the right amount of money to our DPW employee. With equipment, we're going to start getting the right equipment to make sure that they do the job and clean the city. With the ball pickup, I have a plan. I truly believe that in the long term, we could start collecting our garbage collection, but that's in a multiple phase. I'm going to start with a ball pickup. I'm going to erase that idea of scheduling that doesn't work, and that's the reason why Patterson will look like a dumping ground. Every area is going to have a specific time to put the stuff out, and our DPW team, they're going to have the right equipment, the truck, and the manpower to clean it from Monday to Friday, not on Saturday, not on Sunday. During the weekend, our city needs to be clean, waiting for people to come into our city and spend some money and enjoy the weekend. That's what I'm planning to do immediately as soon as I get into. Public work is my #1 priority right now. I've been knocking on doors, Senator, and the biggest complaint is garbage in the community and the way Patterson look. The third work, it doesn't look as filthy because I'm a fighter. I'm in the morning at 7 a.m. I'm driving around. At 12 a.m. I'm driving around, and at night I make sure that the park is Eastside Park is closed. That all my park are closed, and if I see dumping, they have to pick it up. Otherwise, they gotta listen to me.
I got you. We're gonna get Mira, and if we gotta get
Okay.
through this whole thing. But 33rd and Park Ave, make sure they clean up over there by my cleaners. The
Yes,
cleaners.
that's right.
Them
that's
guys
right.
don't respect it. That's
I did that
dirty
cleanup last Saturday, so
yeah, well, stay on
enforcement,
top of them guys.
enforcement.
And those are local guys that
Yeah.
I don't understand. These are grown men just dropping stuff on the ground.
That's right.
So stay on top of it. And I see you.
Yes.
So Actor Usman, what's your plan?
Yes. Well, my first thing is like I want to say yes, DPW is underpaid. But before I make any ballpark figure, I want to do a feasibility. I want to see what really will work out because I know from other departments, if you look at it, DPW is the way underpaid. And my also goal is like I really want it as soon as if I that we must have, because we are the third largest city in the state of New Jersey, we must have our own garbage collection fleet. And it's not only this is, we can make money plus we can create jobs. And as Councilman Michael Jackson said that, you know, I did some research and I saw that, you know, the Washington in Seattle, city of Seattle, they did it exactly same way. They started with a small, they bought it like 12 trucks. Initially, it cost them back then was like 150, but now probably 200 to 250. So if let's say 250, $2.5 million, we're buying 10 trucks. And if you hire 30 people, like for the driver and the 2 sidemen, this is like another. So you're creating 30 jobs, and then we can expand that jobs to the neighboring cities, because those are small cities. We can serve them. So this is more important that we create jobs and also evaluate. Like we have to, because it's like if other department is making more money, because we want to match. So this is my plan.
Okay, listen. Patterson Police Fire Department probably take up 70% of the budget. Will we say somewhere around there? How do we recruit locals to be on our fire department and police department? What can we put in place? What legislation can you recommend to me to say, look, Senator, we need to make sure that these kids from Patterson, Eastside, Kennedy, International, if they go to Passaic County Community College, may not want to go to 4-year school. You are living a good life as a fireman. You are living a good life as a policeman. How do we recruit some of our own to hold these jobs? As you know, growing up, we knew they were coaching baseball, basketball, football. We knew our guys. What can we do to get this back home?
Well, the first,
as the mayor.
the first thing to do, the first thing is the responsibility falls on the mayor. Whoever the personnel people are in the PD and in the fire department, they have to be held accountable on how they scrutinize the intake. Another thing that people don't realize is years ago when Mayor Graves was the mayor, he was also a senator. So if you're asking about legislation on the senatorial perspective, the legislation that allows for city employees to move out specifically targets the fire departments. And it allows firemen to come in from every place else. When you look at our cadet academies, it's 1 or 2 sprinkles of Patterson people here. So specifically when it comes to the police department, the legislation that Councilman Dr. Guzman is talking about, I wrote it. It was the legislation to bring Class 2 officers into our city. The Class 2 officers allows us to bring up to 25% of our department. Therefore, we can hire 125 individuals, of which they're hand-selected by the administration. No civil service test required, no civil service scrutiny. So we can, all our kids that played football at, you got Jameer Wright Collins, his brother, you got Brian Patterson. These are kids that Jameer Wright Collins has a college degree, and he's not in a career yet. He can work and make $30 an hour as a Class 2 officer, which is a part-time gig. And then those officers, those Class 2s who like the position, they can transition, and we could take those 125. We don't need to go back to the academy any longer, because that cycle now of bringing in Class 2s, they work for 2 years as a Class 2, and they can transition right to the police department. And I'll just say this, I spent 10 years in the council. I don't have to do a feasibility study. My feasibility studies have been done already. I've already done all the research, and I'm not going to just speculate and say, well, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to tell you exactly how we're going to do it, where the money's going to come from. I know what the spending is. We just did a study, well, they did a study, and they tried to hide it from the council. I had to disclose it, where bringing bulk pickup in-house saved us $4.6 million. But the council chose not to hold the mayor accountable to redesignate that money back into DPW. They didn't hire more people. I was the only one asking the tough questions to the director that night, saying, listen, so how many more people did you hire? Do you have any vacancies? No. What do you mean? There's nobody? No, we have vacancies. 25, 30 vacancies. You saved $4.6 million. You didn't give any pay increases, and you didn't hire any new people. So you can't save money and not give back to the community.
I'm going to ask you to put your commissioner hat on.
Okay.
Your commissioner hat as far as hiring locals, and in particularly when it comes to the obstacles that are put in front of us in legislation when it comes to civil service jobs, in particularly police and fire department. Any recommendations?
Yeah, well, one thing, just going back to education first, we used to have a public safety academy in Patterson. So when you're talking about choice, and we had all of these academies.
PCTI has a public safety.
PCTI, but Patterson had one too, right? So we had a public safety academy where, we would teach kids starting freshman year of high school, if they wanted to become a police officer or a fireman, they could do it in Patterson. So again, I think we need to bring more choice, more options for parents back instead of canceling. That's one. But in two, in terms of hiring people, the administration does need flexibility on to be able to hire Patterson first. So when I was a county commissioner, we started a park ranger program, and we did a Veterans First program. So you had to be a county resident, right? And if you were a veteran, you went to the top of the list because we saw that we had a lot of homeless veterans and people were suffering. So we wanted to make sure that we employed them and giving them a livable wage. The other thing too, if minimum wage was only at the time, I want to say $12 an hour, we're paying $25 an hour because we wanted to make sure that they were able to live off of that. So I love the idea of class 2s when they came in. I don't know where they are now.
The 6 word.
Okay.
No, we don't have class.
We don't have questions. We don't have-
I wouldn't consider it back.
Shots fired by Uncle Ruth, right? There you go. Yes. But Alex, talk to me about your police and fire department. What is your plan?
Well, I got to tell you, the first thing that we got to do is we got to work with the state to get back local control. We lost the control. We don't control the police department because of the lack of leadership from this mayor. We lost the police department. And it's the state who run our Patterson Police Department. My number one goal as the next mayor of the city is going to be working with the state hand in hand to regain local control of our own police department, bring our own chief back into Patterson. That way we could fix whatever need to be fixed within the police department. Totally agree with
And
Clyde.
Alex, I advocated for the attorney general because we had 8-9 cops indicted. We had almost 18 shootings in the state, and at 1.8 were in Patterson.
Absolutely.
And men of color.
Listen.
African American men getting killed when we only make up 24% of the city, and we're arrested for 46% of the crimes here.
Yes.
So that was my concern, that the attorney general need to look into the practices.
And it's
here.
actually
Sure, and I got to tell you, and
And Murray, Chief, but I don't know what you call him. I call him Chief Murray.
Chief.
Is Patterson born, grown. He ain't afraid to go nowhere. Before
And he's
when
doing
he
a
was in
phenomenal
charge.
job.
Yeah,
Phenomenal
so
job.
I don't care what his title is. He's doing a good job.
Exactly.
So, but as far as local control, if I'm a mayor, I would want to have control of my police.
Absolutely, and that's a clear example that the mayor lost control of the police department, and that's the reason why the state came on board. And as soon as the state came on board, I was 1,000% in agreement with the state, because he was trying to say, no, it's a collaboration. No, it's not a collaboration. They came on board.
Well, $10 million came with that also.
Exactly.
And
So-
my
so-
concern is I don't want it leave and then you leave us a $10 million gap.
Absolutely.
When you
So-
leave, keep that $10 million here to make sure the corridors are covered and we have the weekend and the numbers obviously are going down as we see, and you guys know as council.
Exactly, and that's the reason why I start with the state, my relationship and my working collaboration with the state to regain local control. After that we get the funding, because the state came with funding to help us get out of the mess that we had in the city of Patterson with this administration. So when I will make sure we stay with our funding, then I could start working with a class 1, class 2. Listen, we need those additional police officers to enforce the law that we have in the book. You call a police officer now, you're gonna have to wait 2 and 3 hours. We don't have enough manpower up there. That's the problem that we're facing. Police response is horrible in the city of Patterson.
And we got to realize also, Alex, that we were devastated when I was on the city council. And Jeff Jones gets a lot of criticism, but nobody walks into 125 cops laid off.
Exactly.
And increased property taxes during that period of time by 50-something%.
By 57%.
You know, so you understand that there's a major issue with that. But Mike, quick, and then we'll get Dr. Usman.
No, I was just telling you, he was trying to get your attention.
Okay.
Oh,
Listen.
okay. Yeah, the whole reason was for the class 2 police officer. It was like, because we don't have the financial wherewithal to hire the regular police officer, because it's cost. We can hire a fraction of a cost. And the beauty is that some of the, as Councilman said, some of the young generation, many of the young generation told me they want to volunteer. As long as your background is clean, you can join. And they can monitor the quality of life. And if they want to write, if it's someone called for accident report, they can go there and write. So in drive-by most of the time, because when people see, this is like a deterrence process, a preemptive strike. If they see some crime in progress, they call up the backup, the real police. And while they're just driving by, it's a psychology. I don't think if a police car passed by 2 minutes ago, do you think that someone is going to break into the house of expert here? So this is why I say that we can hire many of the class 2 police officers just to monitor in some areas, and based on the, because the police department knows where the hot spot. We're not going to send them on a hot spot. We're going to send them on a low crime area just to drive by. And this is the main reason it was like we did the class 2. But years later, we are back to square one.
Listen, all three of you as mayoral candidates, the one thing I will tell you is take advantage of Passaic County Community College. I don't think we do enough of that. I think a lot of our kids don't want to go to 4-year colleges. Financially, you save a lot of money by going to junior college. I tell people, go there. And then you could get accepted if you decide to go to 4-year college. But if you want to be a police or fireman, great opportunity for you to go in there. And while we're on that note, I do want to send my condolences out to the family of Steve Rose. The president, longtime president of Junior College Association, passed away. So to Steve Rose, the Passaic County Community College staff and family, I send my deepest condolences. But look into working with Passaic County Community College for those young men who want to be a fireman or policemen, or these are the things that I think we don't use enough, and they won't get encumbered with a whole bunch of loans. Everybody wants to go to somewhere big, but then you don't want to get caught with that loan for the rest of your life for $100,000. So that's my opinion. But,
if I can add on very quickly, and only because listen, we're in a position where we are competing against each other, and I definitely want to spotlight, because when someone makes a statement that's incorrect, and Councilman, I'm not sure how you see it, right? But maybe in certain parts of the city, you may be able to have targeted areas where there's less crime, but you cannot have any officers coming on as volunteers. That's the first thing. They need to have extensive training, and they also need to be able to, I know I don't want to ask anyone who has graduated from college or went to school and looking for employment opportunities to come volunteer. That might be in certain communities, but not all over the city. And also, for Councilman Mendez, the fact of the matter is the mayor never controls the police department. The chief of police is supported by the state, by the attorney general guidelines, and he has sole control. So it matters not who's controlling the department right now. What matters is who is your commissioner of public safety, your public safety chair, right? I'm sorry, the head of public safety, which currently is out. But now, when the mayor controls these class 2 officers, they don't answer to the chief of police. They answer directly to the public safety director. So that's a measure in which the mayor...
No, Mike, I got you, but we're wrapping up time. I want to get to... We're going to go to housing real quick, and Dr. Usman, I'll start. What is your plan for housing? We got it. You got it. I'm the coach now, so we're working on time. So we're going to go through there. We're going to talk about housing. We may have to have a part 2 of this. This is a lot to it. But let's talk about housing real quick. What is your plan for housing and many concerns? And me and Mike have talked about it before. I've sponsored legislation because we had a whole bunch of vacant properties, and sometimes everything times out. But what is your plan for housing in the city of Patterson?
This is a disaster. We can't have the developer building, the residential building. This is like city is getting overcrowded, and who is monitoring? Because the state's supposed to let the state.
Okay, but let's talk more about. Do you have a plan for rehabilitating houses that could be built up? Do you have a plan for like North Dollar housing and you fix it up? Do you have a plan for first-time home buyers? That's what I want to talk about.
This is absolutely
okay.
Yes. Well, the first time we should focus on more on a single-family, two-family houses instead of giving out the tax abatement, because this is costing us. We are paying basically for the residents that Let's say, for example, they build a 100 units building. 100 family moved in. Now, who's paying? They're using the Patterson resources. They're using the Patterson service, the police department. They're using the garbage. They're using everything, all the resources in Patterson. Who's paying? We are the one who's paying it. So I want to give more benefit to the homeowners, and also have some empty buildings or whatever, if city can buy back, we want to use them for the recreational purposes. Right now, every empty space is grabbed by developers, and they're building 10 units, 20 units. This is unacceptable.
Gotcha. So Mendez?
Thank you, Senator. Listen, housing is a necessity, it's not a luxury. In the city of Patterson, we have a crisis now. We have people losing their property because of the high taxes. And with the new assessment, the new reassessment that they did, where 14,000 property were assessed without the person going inside, and they were assessed at the highest market rate number, people are going to be losing their property. Now as we speak, in my office, I have my staff doing tax appeal for free. You could just go there, 414 Broadway. I'm helping people every single day appealing their taxes because you have until May 1st to submit your tax appeal. We need to fight back. And this administration, they knew this and they never said anything about it. You have some time to be able to fix that assessment, but now the only choice that you have is go through the tax appeal. In my plan as a mayor, my number one priority when it comes to housing is going to be affordable housing based on income. Senator, the salary that we have in Patterson is between $35,000, $40,000. How are you going to pay with that salary a $2,500, $3,000 apartment? It doesn't make sense. Financially, you cannot spend more than 30% on rent. Right now, people, they're spending 80%. You see the line of the food pantry here? You got people with 1 and 2 jobs, and they have to go to the food pantry because they don't make enough money. And that's because of the housing crisis that we have. So affordable housing based on income, first-time home buyer program, those properties that are acquired by the city would not be on the hands of the development. I'm planning to put a plan together to make sure that any property in the city of Patterson, vacant property available, is going to be for Patterson resident for a first-time home buyer program. Very simple. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's been done in many of the city, but here in Patterson, now you can't even buy a house right now. I want to make sure that if you live in the city of Patterson and you have I want to make sure that you get that opportunity to own a property. When you own a house, you take pride of your neighborhood. You take pride of where you live. You take care of your community. Now everybody's renting here, so we're pushing people out of the city right now. In the third world, I have a lot of senior senators that they don't know how they're going to pay their taxes now with the new reassessment that the mayor is responsible. They didn't give time to nobody to review that assessment. I'm helping those seniors with tax appeal.
All right, well, you gave out your shot at already. I got to give Councilman Jackson his chance to talk about housing.
So it sounds good, but the city doesn't own those vacant properties. So legally, as the mayor, you don't have any ability to give away a lot to anybody under certain circumstances. But what you do have to do is to recapture the housing authority. I beg both of these gentlemen not to support these measures that came before the council, and they both did. When Dr. Rosenbaum was there, he supported the same developer, Royceman, where I begged him not to do it. Alex Mendez not only supported it, but he bragged about doing it.
I'm proud. Fifth Avenue Complex.
Councilman, hold your etiquette. I haven't done that to you one time.
That's fine.
So instead of allowing the housing authority to give away inventory, we have to rebuild the housing authority. We have to take over those parcels again the way it was when you lived in Alabama projects. We cannot let a third-party developer, who's making a profit, by the way, run housing. What we need to do is what my plan would do, and you'll see a commercial I'm going to drop very soon. We're going to create the partnership with the parking authority. And I've been talking to the brother about, the situation that's going on there. Instead of doing these side deals with outside developers, collaborate. The housing authority gave away $100 million to a developer to develop property for us. Why do we need to hire somebody and give them money so they walk away with a $25 million developer's fee before one shovel goes in the ground? We cannot do that anymore. We'll take over the housing authority. We'll reclaim the housing authority, create the partnerships with the parking authority, community policing, and recreation, create a facility that all of these things live in the same area. They live and breathe all the things that your residents would need. The 30% income ratio that the councilman is talking about, you can only do it under the auspices of the housing authority. You can't do it as the mayor. You don't have that authority. But by creating these entities, these spaces where people have all these things incorporated there, sell a portion of those units to the police department. So when you got your homegrown people looking for places, you sell them a condo in the building.
And so, and that's I'm not gonna use both. I'm not gonna let everybody wrap up here. But how do we keep teachers, police officers, firemen living in our community so our kids can see somebody at church, they can see them at the barbershop? Remember back in the day, you went to the barbershop and you saw people that were your teachers or whatever it may be. And T, how do we do? I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel because Raz is doing it in Newark. Like he has villages and areas that he's done stuff. He has opportunities for people to be, I think, is a hillside or somewhere else where you could be a fireman and get a certain break. And I see Jeff Booker down there, our councilman from down at the shore, shaking his head yes. How do we do this? And I'm going to give you 30 seconds. How do we get our homegrown talent to stay here, in particular our professionals? I'm going to start with TJ first.
I think Patterson needs to bring back the Live Where You Work program. There's a first-time homebuyers program where they gave incentives and first-time homebuyers grants, not loans, but grants.
And I think Patterson Task Force was working a lot with that too.
And those programs dried up and they dissolved, and there's not even single-family homes that you can even go out there and get anymore. So that's part of the problem. But I think bringing those grants back and utilizing the federal resources more. I mean, Patterson's not doing a good job with spending the federal resources that we currently have. So I would like to see them improve that. So we got the money, we just need to put it out into the street the right way.
What we need is someone who's going to actually direct the revenue that does come into our community into the right hands. We've taken CDBG, which we get millions of dollars every year. We direct them to the nonprofits within the alliance, right? And that's the money you're talking about. That's the money that we got to utilize to give grants to people for the first-time home ownership opportunities. And we also got to make sure we provide, you have to provide inventory. You're asking people to stay here where there's developers who don't care about how the conditions of the facilities that they're building. Then you allow somebody to charge us $400,000 per unit where the average rate is 100, and he's building subpar conditions. We have to hold people accountable, and we have to hold our housing authority accountable and our parking authority accountable, because they are development arms. They're not supposed to outsource it to somebody else, a third-party entity, and allow them to make money off the situation. We have to have a mayor that's going to take the bull by the horns, reclaim the community, and give it back to where it belongs, to the residents.
So Al, how do we keep our kids here?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when your daughter graduates from medical school, we need her to come back and work at St. Joe's. What do we do to keep our talent here?
Absolutely.
And how do we give them affordable housing opportunities?
Affordable housing. Senator, we have to bring quality of life back into our neighborhood. We have to clean our city. We got to make our city safe. We have a homeless situation. My plan is specifically, that's my business, my background. I'm in real estate. When I said, yes, you could definitely take property, the city could own a property. We could do foreclosure on the property. We could do that. It's there. I'm not planning to dismantle Patterson Housing Authority. I'm not planning to go in this back and forth. Leadership matter. And when you have a mayor that is respected, when you have a mayor that hold people accountable, you got to have a chief of police who's going to be hand in hand. You're going to have a housing authority working with the city to take care of the necessity of our community. And that's the reason why I'm saying I will bring the affordable housing that the city needs based on income. I'm going to bring those properties that we could put it back in the hands of the first-time home buyer.
How do you tell your daughter from staying in Washington, D.C., which is a great hub for any young person? Am I right there?
Yeah.
How do you get her back here?
A decent neighborhood, an opportunity to grow. A distant neighborhood,
now, do you have
she could purchase a property.
Any programs for our fire, police, and teachers?
Listen, as a mayor, that's going to be one of my top priorities. Encouraging our firefighting to live in Patterson, our teachers, and our police department. And not only that, my entire cabinet.
We're going to have to do a part two. Like, we're running out of time, but this is going to go.
Listen, Senator, and listen, from the day one, as soon as I became mayor, my entire cabinet have to live in Patterson. I could control that, and I'm going to start by that. You need a mayor that really care and leadership matter.
All right, we got to give Dr. Risma his 30 seconds. Go ahead.
See, Senator, I mean, like, I have seen I witnessed that. It's a lot of the people study here, and as soon as they get a good job, they moved. Because we have to provide them the safety net. They don't feel safe. They feel, even if some of the homeowners, the property tax increasing year after year. You think they can, because they're getting less services and they're getting more, if they live in other town, they're getting more services with the less property taxes. Why they want to live? And one more thing that I want to emphasize, that, we could do that, but I don't know about the public safety, because police officer, I think because of the union dictate. I remember 8 Can't Wait, there is a movement. They modified it now because we can do the teacher. We can give them incentive to stay in town.
We're getting ready to run out of town.
Police officers.
Listen, we're going to have to come back for part 2. We will invite Mayor Andre Say to come and take TJ's spot right here. We did invite him for full disclosure. We did invite him, and he declined. I think he had another event.
Did you tell him where he had to sit?
I would have put him.
So you did invite him?
I did invite him, so I don't want anybody to say, why didn't you invite the mayor? The mayor was invited, and we never close the show without talking about sports. You got questions from the audience. I know. Hurry up.
It's about school.
Okay, you gotta hurry up. Cause we got. I get ready for your final four choices. We gotta talk
Listen.
sports real quick. Go ahead.
Last night, my daughter did a subject at the PEA building. How do local politics affect your child? She is talking about getting all the parents together because of all this stuff that's going on. We know there's strength in numbers. So every ward, they're going to have this shelter.
The PA. So can we post that, Q, real quick? We'll post that.
But no, the next meeting, this was for March
Go ahead.
23rd. The next meeting is March 30th at the Masonic Temple.
All right, that's
So
good.
they're
Bringing it to the
They're
neighborhood.
trying to bring all these
And that's the
parents.
mother of all sports in Patterson, so I had to give her 30
No,
seconds. But listen,
This is important.
guys,
because
real
of what's going
quick,
on.
we got to
Thank you.
talk sports. Real quick, we're going to go down the line. It's March Madness final. Big shout out to all the former basketball players. I posted some names, and I forgot people like Javaris, Fatboy Hayes, who had a great career at Merrimack. Jackson, the great kid, down at Rice. There was so many great, Art Redmond and Derek Lamar, all good friends. But a lot of people we couldn't even find pictures. But shout out to Patterson when it comes to girls and boys basketball. Shania Heber, all these guys. Great guys. But look, real quick, I need your final four pick. Your final team. Who's going to win the NCAA basketball tournament? Team.
I haven't been following the men, but I've been following the women. I'm with Tennessee all the way. Paldo Twins.
They lost already. They got knocked out. They don't follow sports. Shout out to the Paldo Twins anyway.
Well, I had to give him a shout out. I had to
Google
give
real
him a
quick.
shout out.
It's a team called UConn that's
I had
going to
to
win
give
the
him
whole
a
thing.
shout out. I had to give him a
Mike,
shout out.
Bench,
We're going with men's basketball. real
I'm
quick.
in the same light skinned boat as them. I haven't been watching basketball except when I'm at the gym.
You guys are getting ready for an election, so.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah,
all right,
it
but
is.
next time you should be ready for it. You got to pick, Al?
Well, listen, I've been knocking on doors since early.
You don't know what the hell's going on. Wait. After Rosemont, you won't even bother asking
Since
you?
Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan left, I haven't really.
Well, listen.
Watching the basketball.
All I can
And
say
the
is,
show.
Manny,
I
can we
think
get a
so.
pick?
The winner of this Friday's Duke St. John's game will run the table.
I'm excited for Big East basketball.
Run through UConn, and I'm taking St. John's.
Kenny, who you
that
got?
hurts me as a Seton Hawk.
Kenny,
but
who
I'm
you got?
taking
Kenny,
St.
who you got?
I'm going with Duke for
Uh-huh.
men and UConn for the ladies.
Okay, all right. Justin, my son Justin is a Arkansas graduate, so he's going with Arkansas. Grad school,
Bats.
University of Arkansans. Here, Jay, who you got? Duke. Who you got, Q?
I don't watch sports.
Oh, we got a great group of guys here that ain't. These guys are campaigning, and they're here.
Don't forget, MLB opening day tomorrow and Thursday. Baseball is back, baby.
Yes,
you know, I give
that's
a
right.
baseball.
Hey, listen, the man didn't
Baseball
take me
is
to the
back.
real baseball game, so I'm still pissed off out
That was off the
of
hook.
that. And listen, we got
I'm
some
thinking for
great
the Yankees,
championships.
so-
Rapid comments.
Follow Recreation. We do have some City League championships, so you guys should pop your head in. It will be April the 2nd at John F. Kennedy High School, all three levels starting at 6 o'clock. And then Taub Dopey basketball. The championship is at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn on March the 31st. The game starts at 12:45. Our championship team is Science and Technology. Keli is back at it again. And Joseph A. Taub School, the supporter, he won it. And the girls, the cheerleaders, overall champion was the Taub School, but Norman S. Ware won one, College Achieve won. Unbelievable day, over 1,500 people at the cheerleading competition the other day. But I'm gonna give these guys. Do we have 10 seconds? Get it wrap up. Well, wrap it up.
Part two.
Well, listen, I've been told I gotta stay in my 55 minutes. So if you guys allow your schedule to free up, we will invite Mayor Andre Sayer to come on, and he's gonna
I'll be
take
out.
your spot.
I'll be out.
And Mayor, whenever you're ready, we'll get this done before May the 12th. May the 12th. So the countdown is already here. Patterson, get involved in the process. If you're not registered, you still have time to register for the May 12th election.
Yes.
It's very simple now. What is it? Vote.gov or something like that. It's simple. If not, see one of these guys right here. They'll get you registered real
Absolutely.
quick.
That's right.
But don't sit around and complain and talk about it and then don't vote. I don't care. Well, you know what happens when you don't care? A guy named Donald Trump. So every time you want to think about these kids that are missing from our public schools because they're being attacked by ICE, when you think about the parents who work gainful jobs and give back to our economy in the billions of dollars, these are the people that why we need to make sure we fight. And we need to make sure we fight for our children and our grandchildren to make sure it's here. So do not vote. Get involved.
That's right.
See these
Go.
guys get involved. Please
right.
vote. May 12th, get involved. And a lot of people say, well, the school board doesn't matter. Well, now that 4 schools are closing, they should matter a lot.
matter
And
a
when
lot.
you're talking about repurposing buildings for storage that you purchased for $13 million, I know our commissioners are not going to sit on their hands and let this happen.
That's right.
So look, sit back. We will be back for part 2. And also, I got to bring the council candidates with us. 30 council candidates, so we may have to grab a handful for the council. That's gonna be a tough one. But I'm Benji Wimberly, episode 26 of Barbershop Talk here at the House of Experts in the city of Patterson. Thank you for tuning in. And after this conversation, I still believe hope is here.
That's right.
Part 2, part 2, part 2, part 2.